Hi guys, in the course of this teaching, I'll be solving this JAMB chemistry question with us, and I want us to stay till the end. Now the question says, at STP, a certain mass of gas occupies a volume of 790 cm cube. Find the temperature at which the gas occupies 100 cm cube and has a pressure of 726 mmHg. Now, if you look at this question very well, it talks about volume, it talks about temperature, and it talks about pressure. Now, in gas laws, which of the law talks about volume, temperature, and then pressure? It's the general gas equation that relates the three together. The general gas equation. Now, I'll be writing the general gas equation on the board now, which is P1 V1 over T1 equals to P2 V2 over T2. So this is the general gas equation. Now, in this equation, P1 is equal to what? Initial pressure. V1 equals to what? Initial volume. T1 is equals to initial temperature. Then P2 is equals to final pressure. V2 is equals to final volume, while T2 equals to final temperature. So this is it. So in the formula, P1 is initial pressure, V1 is initial volume, T1 is initial temperature, while P2 is final pressure, V2 is final volume, while T2 is final temperature. Now, under gas law, if you are given temperature, please take note of this. If you are given temperature in degrees Celsius, it is advisable as a student to convert from degrees Celsius to Kelvin. In one of my previous videos, I taught on how to convert from degrees Celsius to Kelvin. If you have not watched that video, I love you guys to go and watch that my previous video. So let's continue. And also one of my previous videos, I also taught the meaning of STP and the values of STP. I advise you guys to go and watch those in my previous video. So let's continue. Now let's bring out all the parameters in this question. So P1 is initial pressure, V1 initial volume, then T1 initial temperature, then P2 V2, then also have T2. Now it says at STP. STP means standard temperature and pressure. Now, standard temperature has values and standard pressure also has what? Has value. Now it says at STP, a certain mass of gas occupies a volume of 790 cm cube. Now this happens to be what? Our first volume. So which our V1 initial volume. So it's what? 790 cm cube. They say find the temperature. They told us to find the temperature, but they did not give us initial temperature. But here they wrote at STP. Now, earlier on I said that STP has a value, has a meaning, standard temperature and pressure. Now, standard temperature has a value, while standard pressure has a value. Now, in the question, they did not give us our initial temperature to be so this, but you said standard temperature. But now, they also tell us again to find the temperature. Now, the value for standard temperature, please take note of this, that the value for standard temperature is 273 Kelvin. So, which means this standard temperature, which is 273 Kelvin, happens to be what? Our initial temperature, which our T1. So, T1 equals to 273 Kelvin. Because the question says we should find temperature, which is the T2, and they did not give us T1, but here they wrote standard temperature and pressure. And standard temperature has a value which is 273 Kelvin, which means that That 273 Kelvin is our T1. Since you're telling me how to look for what? T2. So that's it. So find the temperature at which the gas occupies 1000 cm cube. Now they gave us V1 before. Now you're saying 1000 cm cube, which is our V2. So V2, which is final volume, is 1000 cm cube. And has a pressure of what? 726 mmHg. Don't forget that here they give us STP, which is standard temperature and pressure. Now, if standard temperature is 273 Kelvin, it also means that standard pressure also has a value, and the value for standard pressure is 760 mmHg. Now, which means that our initial pressure, which is the P1, is 760 mmHg. Now, this place says and has a pressure of 726 mmHg, which means that automatically means that our P2 is what? 726 726 mmHg. That's our P2. Now the question says that we should find what? Temperature. The question says find temperature, which are what? T2. So now we are finding temperature, which are what? Our T2. Now, having brought out the parameters, let's go straight to the calculation. Now, using what? General gas equation, which is P1 V1 over T1 equals to P2 V2 over T2. Now, P1 is 760 times V1, which is 719 over T1, which is 273, is equal to P2. Our P2 is 726 times V2, which is 1000 cube, over T2. We're looking for T2, so just put it back. Now, at this point, we're going to what? Cross multiply. So we're going to what? Cross multiply. So it will be all these values up times this one down, all these values up times this one down. So it will be 760 times 719 times T2 equal to 273 times 726 times 1000 times 1000. Now, at this point now, we are going to divide by the coefficient of T2. Divide both sides by the coefficient of T2. So it will now be what? Over 760 times 719 over 760 times 790. So this down, cancel this up. So T2 equals to 273 times 726 times 1000. If you times everything together, you are going to get 198,198,000 over. If you multiply 760, if you multiply 760 times 790, if you multiply everything together, you're going to get 600,400. So therefore, our T2 is equals to what? Now, if you divide this one up, this value up by this value down, if you divide it up, you're going to get 330.1 Kelvin. So this happens to be what? Our T2. So thank you guys for watching to the end. I want you guys to follow my page, like my video, and also share to your friends. Thank you.